Right, okay everyone, this is going to be the first video which is going to be looking at theme 3. Over the next several videos, what we're going to be building up are different models which shows how firms behave in different market structures. That could be perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopoly. We call all this the theory of the firm. Now, a really simple one, the best way of starting to look at this stuff is to think about business production. Okay, now when businesses produce, in effect, what they do, they turn inputs into outputs. And let's make the assumption the moment they do this to maximize their profits. In other words, to win as much profit as possible. Now, their inputs are their factors of production. That's their land, labor, capital, and their enterprise. So these resources go through a production process designed to make outputs, which are the goods and services. Okay, now when you think about this logically then, the factors of production have to be paid for. These are the costs for the business. The outputs, when these are sold, these will generate revenues. Okay, so quite simply, if we assume businesses exist to make profits, then they will make profits if the revenue they earn from their outputs is greater than the costs they incur when they pay for their inputs. Okay, right, now when we look at production, we have to differentiate between short-run production and long-run production. Now in the short run, what we assume is we have at least one fixed factor of production. So either land, labour, capital or enterprise tends to be a fixed factor of production. In other words, it cannot be changed as output expands. The most likely fixed factor of production is the capital. This could be their infrastructure. Okay, so for a coffee shop, in the short run, the space they have available to make coffee, the number of tables and chairs they can have, tends to be fixed. For the college, this will be the physical number of classrooms that we have available to us. These things cannot be changed in the short run. Now, in the long run, all factors of production are variable. All that means they can all be increased or decreased as output levels change. Okay, so short run, at least one fixed factor of production, normally capital. Long run, all these start to become variable. Now, in the rest of this video, we're going to start to build up the concept of short run production. So everything that I'm now about to talk about assumes that we have at least one fixed factor of production. Okay, now what we're going to assume is we're looking at a fictitious business. Let's call it Daz's Sarnies. Now, Daz's Sarnies is a small little sandwich shop. It's one of these porter cabin style sandwich shops you see in the lay-by off big busy roads. Okay, Daz's Sarnies will sell sandwiches in order to make as much money as possible. Now, in the short run then, physical size of the porter cabin, the counter space, and the machines that I have. This could be the coffee machine, it could be the sandwich the machine used to make paninis, for example. These are our fixed factors of production. So the fixed factor of production is the capital. Okay, this probably means that the only factor of production that Daz's Sarnies can change to make more sandwiches is the units of labour that they have. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're now going to be looking at an example of this. Now, what we're going to assume then is that, and this again, it's balmy in many respects, but hopefully it will help illustrate the point. We're going to create a table. We're going to be looking at units of labour. And we're going to be looking at how many sandwiches can be made with different units of labour. Now, a few key terms to bring in now will be total product, average product, and marginal product. And let's just draw this table. So the idea is that we have fixed factors of production. These are the capital. So the only way of making more sandwiches is to employ more people working behind the counter making the sandwiches. So we're going to be looking at how adding more labour will affect how many sandwiches that this business can make. Right, so I'm going to start off with some fake numbers. We're going to go for 10, 22, 36, 40, 42, and then 40. Right, okay, now what you've got here then is the total product, is the number of sandwiches the business is able to make with these different units of labour. So when we only have one person working behind the counter, the maximum they can produce in, let's say, a day is 10 sandwiches. We have two people working behind the counter, then we can make up to 22 sandwiches. Okay, so we go all the way to 6. What you'll notice is that the number of sandwiches we can make has actually fallen. We've gone from making 42 with 5 staff to only 40 with 6 members of staff. Now the next column is the average product, the AP, the average product. Now to work this one out, all I do, I take the total product and divide it by the number of people working in the business. So quick bit of maths, we've got 10, we've got 11, and we've got 12. If I do 40 divided by 4, it will give me 10. 42 divided by 5, I've already got this written down somewhere else, comes to 8.4, and then 40 divided by 6 is 6.7. Now all these numbers mean, it means on average how many sandwiches each member of staff is making in this porter cabin for me. So when I have one person working behind the counter, the average number of sandwiches made per worker is 10. When I go to 3 units of labour, what we can see is the average product is now 12. Each worker makes an average 12 sandwiches. Right, now the one that's most useful for a diagram we're going to be drawing in a couple of minutes is the MP. The MP is the marginal product. It's the addition to total product by adding another unit of labour. Okay, so when you think about it logically, if we had no labour, 0 units of labour, we could make 0 sandwiches. So by employing 1 unit of labour, we've now got a total product of 10. So they've increased production by 10 sandwiches. When I go from 1 to 2 workers, what we can see here then is that the marginal product is 12. Okay, the second worker is offering 12 sandwiches compared to the first worker which offered 10. When we go from 2 to 3 workers, we can see that total product increases by 14. We go from 3 to 4, it grows by 4. 4 to 5, it grows by 2. And then something bizarre happens. We go from 5 to 6. The marginal product is minus 2. The total product actually starts to fall. Right, now what we have here is 2 very important short-run concepts. Between 1 to 3 workers, we are benefiting from what we call increasing marginal returns. When I go from 4 workers onwards, we're suffering from something that we call diminishing marginal returns. Okay, now the simple idea behind these is increasing marginal returns. It's where employing more units of a variable factor of production, in this case labour, and adding them to the fixed factors of production, the capital, it means that additional units of labour will create more output than what the previous ones did. So for example, worker 2 offers 12, which is more than what worker 1 offered, which is 10. Worker 3 offers even more, 14, compared to the 12, which was offered by units of labour number 2. Now when I go beyond 3, what we see is that the marginal product starts to fall. Okay, so diminishing marginal returns occurs when adding more units of labour will lead to marginal product starting to fall. Now what you've hopefully noticed is that when I employ 3 units of labour, the average product is at its highest. When I go beyond 3 workers, we start to suffer from diminishing marginal returns and the average product starts to fall. Now let's just drag some of these numbers across onto a diagram. Okay, now what we'll do, on one axis, we're going to have units of variable factor of production, and this is the units of labour. And that goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. Then we've got the marginal product. We'll call it the MP. Okay, this went all the way from 2. Let's just put something roughly on here. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, so the marginal product of the first unit of labour was 10. The second one went up to 11. The third one went up to 12. I've got these numbers wrong. Let me just scribble some of these off. So the first worker, their marginal product was 10. The second one was 12. The third one was 14. And then it went down to 4. And then 2. It actually became a minus number in the end. If I just draw these up roughly, what you will see is something we've got here. Now, when the marginal product increases, we've got these increasing marginal returns. When it starts to fall, we've got diminishing marginal returns. Right now, the basic idea behind this, then, let's think about my sandwich shop, Daz's Sarnies. What causes increasing marginal returns? It's normally linked to a boost in efficiency. Okay, we're not actually saying that the second or third workers are better than the first worker, but the idea is that as we employ more people, we can benefit from more division of labour. In other words, some kind of specialisation. We can also use our capital more efficiently. Okay, let's take a few examples of this then. It could be that in my little sandwich shop now, we can start to have more specialisation. We can have one person and all they do is take orders. We can have another person responsible for clearing tables. We could have another person responsible for preparing the sandwiches. So the idea is people are now repeating one job over and over again. That's the division of labour. And as they do so, they become more efficient. Repetition will make them better at their jobs. And because they don't have to focus on one small job over and over again, they should become more productive at doing that one particular job. We also have more efficient use of capital. Okay, each unit of labour's got a specialised job. We can give them specialist machines to work with that they will use over and over again. So that should again boost productivity. Now, diminishing marginal returns, a really good word here is what we call overloading. Inside this small porter cabin now, we've now got too many people working behind the counter. We could have the problem of over-specialisation where people now, the job that they're expected to fill is so small and repetitive that they might get demotivated, but we might have problems of confusion. No one's quite sure exactly which member of staff is meant to be doing what. We might also have problems of chaos, queuing, for example, as well. So the idea being that because people are now over-specialised and they're all waiting for other members of staff to finish using a particular machine, they might run into each other, drop orders. That's the chaos, for example, and these things start to lead to the marginal product falling. Okay, so the idea is that for this business, we are most efficient when we employ 3 people. We go beyond that, and the efficiency will start to fall. What we'll do in the next diagram is to build in the idea of cost curves.